1. Seth, y'all good? We rolling? All right, cool, we're rolling. All right, seeing how it's 6:02, we'll call this meeting to order. Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, it is vacation week, so the building is quieter than normal. Alright, where's my... There it is. Okay, cool. First up on our agenda, approval of minutes, public and non-public from March 21st. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, both public and non-public, from March 21.
Second.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Okay, comments, questions, concerns, edits?
Yeah.
Yes.
Real simple. The student rep wasn't here, didn't give a report, so that's what it is.
Okay.
It's listed as a typo, done. It's not, should be none.
Right, she was absent. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be not D-O-N-E, it should be N-O-N-E.
Okay.
Here's my graphics for the day, and that's it.
Okay.
So she should be removed from,
The list of
From the
people who are
list.
attending, yeah.
okay, and, but was she here?
Did she come in late? No, she was here.
She was here, because.
She was here, but she didn't have a report.
Okay.
No report. She didn't have a report. I'm just looking at it, it says done. It's not done, it's not.
Look, she's got a report written in here. Talking about,
What page are you on?
I'm on page 3.
Okay.
Bottom of page 3.
Yep, 39, line
Yeah.
39. Yeah, she did talk about sports.
Yeah.
Where are you looking?
Page 3, down
Page
to
3.
line
Right
39.
here, this is page 3.
All the way at the bottom.
See?
Student rep.
Yep.
That's a
What,
report.
what question I have is why she was here, but why did they put down, why did she put down done? Doesn't make sense to me.
Where?
Where are you sitting at?
Oh, maybe we bumped her up in the...
We did. There
You know
was
what I mean?
Cole
We-
made a motion and I seconded it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was already done. We had already done it. We bumped her up to much earlier in the meeting.
We changed the order.
I
Yes.
understand, okay,
Yeah.
never mind, forget it, just. it
Oh,
doesn't
you
make-
think
it
that
doesn't-
line should just
It
be
doesn't make
eliminated?
sense to just write down done.
Okay.
No, it
It
should
should have said that she moved up in the meeting or something,
Okay.
have.
okay?
All right, we can just change, like, we're already addressed earlier in the
The
meeting.
one time I give you guys a correction, you turn into a 5 minute.
No, I got it. I got what you're saying now. Okay.
Okay,
All right. Anything else on the minutes?
no.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, public and non-public, of March 21st, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? And Candace abstains. All right, cool. Public comment. Hello, welcome. We have public comment open, and after this time, we will continue our public comment for 30 minutes at the end, or seeing as there's no one, we'll close public comment at that time. Presentation. So Angel and Tina, I presume that's why you're here. So they're going to give a presentation on CARES and ESSER grants. So all that COVID money. So they're giving a full
I think
report.
Tina's later, actually. I don't think Tina wants to talk about ESSER money.
That's okay. All right, Angel, you go ahead.
Okay. Can I screen share?
You should be able to.
Okay.
You're loud enough, I know I can hear you from wherever she's from.
There we go. Yep.
Okay. All right, there we go. So this is just an update on the ESSER money. There have been 3 ESSER grants, and so the majority of that money was spent before I started in the district, but I'll share with you what happened with that. And then I want to share with you the iGrant dashboard that the Department of Education has put together, and that's on the final slide. So this is just a quick overview of the ESSER money and a general idea of the categories where that was spent. So ESSER 1 was really the money that the district received during COVID. and 40% of that was spent on learning loss. The majority of that was really spent towards software licenses that teachers were using so that they could teach remotely and make that shift. 49% of it was spent on other. So a lot was spent on food delivery for families at that time. There were stipends for the reopening task force. There was purchase of Chromebooks and Google Data, headsets, webcams. So a lot of technology pieces, some technology consultation to get that up and running so quickly and smoothly, and then the frontline software. And then the rest of it was really spent on building projects. And a lot of that was, again, what you would expect during COVID: cleaning supplies, air purifiers. So I think that was pretty cut and dry. That was the real emergency COVID money. Anybody have any questions about those funds?
Nope, I don't think so.
So really the majority of that was spent before I even started in the district. I spent down some of these things in a couple areas. We spent a fair amount more on kind of the cleaning supplies, things like that. And then again, ESSER 2 had started and really looked at, this was the money that was being used for learning loss, for addressing some of the things that came out of COVID. So again, those big categories: learning loss, 32% of the money was spent on that. A lot of that was spent on tutoring, summer learning, again, software programs, licenses, foundations, classroom kits that we're using at the elementary level. Those are part of the reading curriculum, so helping students learn how to read. Some training from Wilson Reading, that's who puts out foundations, and then the Handwriting Without Tears program. So again, all these curricular pieces really to address things that we saw come out of the pandemic. So things that kids didn't get when they were remote or partially remote or just not out in the public as much. We purchased manipulatives for math. The middle school did some piloting of Star Renaissance, and then professional learning for teachers. Again, a big chunk of that money was spent on building projects. A lot of that has been spent on engineering services, and you will see that is the bulk of what we are going to spend ESSER 3 on. So figuring out what are the projects that we can do at the elementary schools to really improve the HVAC systems. And then those things that we had in ESSER 1, so cleaning supplies. At the end of COVID, there was a number of things like graduation, there was signage purchased, outdoor furniture, some things like that, so that when kids were in that semi-hybrid stage in some of the buildings, they could do some more things outside. And then at Indian River School, we this year started updating the touchless water system. So that's something Corrado has been working on, and we've done the majority of the purchases for that. And then the big category is other, again, for this. So we worked on SEL. That was something that community and parent input indicated we needed to work on. We also worked on the multi-tiered system of support framework. We bought more technology, so Chromebooks. This is how we got started with our Alma contract. So that did include, the build out of that system, so that expense was put in there. The smart Wi-Fi for the buses, so that when kids are traveling to games or field trips, they can do their homework. This is where Seth's position has been paid for out of, so that's the audio visual specialist. More of those outdoor wireless access points. The Zoom communication software that we used for school board meeting previously, and then some two-way radios. So again, still kind of in that triaging and then starting to think about the learning loss piece with ESSER 2. And that is almost spent down at this point.
So it's really hard to see the total of other in the dark purple there.
Okay.
So could you just give me that figure, please?
So that is $269.03, 27 cents.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that really is a pretty big conglomeration.
Yeah.
And I'll show you this also in that interactive dashboard, and I'll send you that link because you can see that in live time, which is pretty interesting. All right, and then the last one was much more prescriptive. So ESSER 3, they basically told us the categories that we needed to have. We needed to have at least 20% for learning loss. And so we invested a fair amount of that into the RTI coordinator, that's Crystal Smith's position, which we funded for 2 years with the ESSER 3 grant. And she's really worked on the Ames Web data that you've seen some of the principals present, worked on that RTI system, helped us with our after-school tutoring. So a lot of those interventions. So the places that we're seeing students who need some help getting caught up after the pandemic, that learning loss, she's helping with those, working with building administration, and this year she's really working a lot at the Indian River School. A couple other things really related to professional development. So the Learning Through Teaching course at UNH, which has been very popular, we have funded through ESSER 3 funds for the past 2 years. And then we did some professional development with a company called Demonstrated Success. And they really worked with Crystal and the principals again on those RTI systems, on looking at where are the places where we need to change instruction or we need additional instruction. They provided some training on differentiation and group work. And then the 80% of the money, we haven't really spent it yet, but it is budgeted for that HVAC work that is happening at CES and EVS. And I can't see him on camera. I don't know if Rob is there, if he wants to talk at all about those projects.
Sure.
Yeah, he's just off camera there.
I'm just on the side here. So ESSER 3 is geared more towards long-range improvement for buildings because, ESSER 1 was kind of the emergency fix for a lot of stuff. Going forward for ESSER 3, it's more for infrastructure, especially in the areas of like airborne contaminants and air quality. They want to make sure that, if a recurrence of something like COVID or just even seasonal things that pop up once in a while. So we spent some of the ESSER 2 money on some engineering studies and take an assessment of which buildings needed the most work. And obviously, like EVS being the oldest building built at the turn of the century, some of it really needs some ventilation upgrades. And this will also go hand in hand with improving efficiency and just making sure that air quality is improved for the elementary schools, and we'll keep working on that.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
So all of these new purchases, are they operational at this time?
Some of them are, not the HVAC and from ESSER 3. We've only done engineering studies and reached out to some contractors. We're going to put out an RFP. Some of it has been done, some of the engineering things, the cleaning supplies, the touchless water systems, to reduce contact points between people, to cut down on transmission. So some of it has been done. But the big project from ESSER 3 is going to be a year out or two.
And how does that affect the Enfield Village School? There was a discussion about the roof being replaced and air handlers going up on top of the building.
Yes.
Are we talking about this equipment?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, this is the same.
One air handler will go on the roof. One air handler will go actually above the third floor in the older part of the building.
Right, which is the reason why we have to do a whole new roofing system up there, was my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ESSER 3 funds, we do have another year to spend those. So ESSER 1 has closed, ESSER 2 will close at the end of August, and we have another full year to spend ESSER 3.
And if you recall that we did put some of the project money in the CIP, so some of the slate roof and some of the other external additional costs, sort of as a buffer to help with these HVAC projects in the future.
So moving it into CIP is it's secure there. It's not going to be affected by a time limit or anything like
Right.
that. So
Yes.
we won't lose
We can adjust the
anything.
CIP, ESSER will end eventually, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Angel.
All right, the last thing that I wanted to show you, this is just a screenshot that if you look at the PowerPoint in your folder, it is hyperlinked, and I have that up, so I'm just gonna share this tab instead. So this is something that the state, the Department of Education, put together with their ESSER funds. And you actually can look at any district in the state. So obviously I have selected Mascoma. And this gives you a breakdown of all the funds. And you can click into each to find out a little bit more about those. And it does tell you what has been allocated, budgeted, approved, and reimbursed. So, you know, ESSER 1 is done, 100% has been reimbursed and approved. We're at 77% of ESSER 2, and then 67% of ESSER 3. And again, you can click into these to see some additional information about them.
Nice.
So just another view of this information if you want to look at that data.
I don't know that did we get it in our packet?
We did not get that.
Yeah, I don't think it's in our packet, so if we
We
could
didn't get that.
send that on to
Yeah.
Martha so she can send that to us later, that'd be great.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay,
we'll
awesome.
click away to our heart's content. Cool.
Okay,
Thank you. Is there anything else you had?
that's all I have.
All right, any other questions for Angel about ESSER funds?
I guess the only question I have, Angel, is are there things that we have initiated with ESSER funds that we anticipate continuing, especially if in regards to services or positions that will need to start to incorporate into the regular budget cycle?
So the positions that we have in there are Seth's position, and that is in the local budget. Crystal Smith's position, we let her know that that was a 2-year position, so we are not renewing that. Right now, what we're doing actually with her is working on having her train the principals on those different pieces. So the Ames Web, anything that she really had learned that she hasn't taught them yet, she's working on that with them. And then I guess the only other thing that we talked about a little bit was the learning through teaching class through UNH. That's been really popular. And we do have some places in some other grants that we could look at funding that from, so that if teachers were interested in continuing that. But for the most part, we've been pretty aware of the guidelines around ESSER and tried to buy those things that are, you know, Chromebooks. It's a one-time purchase. Different programs and software and things like that that really were used to catch kids up or replace things that were in the classroom. Those we used for a year or two, and now we've transitioned back to kind of business as usual in the classroom. So there haven't been really a lot of things that we want to continue. We use them as those fill in the gap things, which is what it was intended for.
Okay, good, thank you.
Cool.
Minutes tonight. How we doing minutes tonight?
She's probably listening.
Kamala will do the minutes off the recording.
Okay. that's all.
And I did, for the officialness of this, I did receive an email from Vicki that she would not be able to
thank you.
attend today.
Okay, great. And I have to check, but I thought Hope had said earlier she was going to miss this meeting, because I knew she was going to miss a meeting in April, but I couldn't remember if it was this. So,
I'm just curious.
all right. No other questions for Angel? All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for the update, and we'll look forward to seeing that report. Okay. Public comments, seems how there's no public here present with us. We'll continue on. Student representative report we will table till the next time, as it is her vacation, and I don't blame her. I will say, though, that I found out that the junior class finally got a prom venue, and they're going to go sign everything on it, I think, tomorrow.
Well, they've already advertised that it's at Ragged.
Oh, yes, I know.
So-
We'll take her thunder away from her. Let her bring it up.
I'll let her bring it up.
We didn't know anything about it.
All right,
How's that?
Good.
Okay?
You're not going, right?
Gotta give her something to talk about.
As long as you don't read the announcements.
Yeah. EIC. So continuing business, we have EIC report.
Okay, so let's, we met, I guess there's no date on this one.
23rd. Oh, it's right at the top.
Oh, yeah, the 23rd of March. And it was a bit awkward because I wasn't present at the previous meeting on February 16th due to illness.
Oh, that's right.
And we didn't have Hope with us. We didn't have Tim because he's not on the committee anymore. So Vicki went ahead and she approved the minutes
All
as
right.
presented. And then we had a presentation by Bernadette Virgin regarding the experiencing of arts, and there's a detailed attachment in your packet. And my takeaway from this was I was kind of shocked and awed at the amount of the balance in this fund. I had no idea it was that extravagant. And I think that it may be something that we want to look further into. Maybe a policy about capping how much money is put into certain accounts and moving forward with it. But there is definitely a lot that needs to be, a lot of attention to this subject, and make sure that we're going forward in a positive way. The other thing that we did not do at the meeting is we tabled the nominations for a chair for a next meeting. And we adjourned just under 45 minutes.
Questions for Kathleen?
I mean, I also, when I was reading the notes, wondered about the experiencing the arts, and I know that a lot of times the Byrne Foundation, even if you don't ask for money, if you send in kind of a report on what's been going on or what the status of things are, their generosity has been tremendous, and so sometimes you don't even request additional funds, and they're like, thanks for your report, here's more money to keep doing cool things. But because we haven't reported on the balance of what we still have, that those funds still come in. So whether it's a process of making sure to add that kind of a note into the report that goes out that says, we're set for now, or we have, because of the COVID times and not being able to do as many of the things that we had, here are some additional things that we are going to draw down the money for. I can think of things like PTAs spend a fair amount of time doing additional fundraising to bring in some arts residencies, for instance, and could this be utilized for things like that? And then save our community from additional fundraising when there's still stuff there. So I hope that that's something that's being discussed and perhaps could benefit.
All too often, the board is asked to approve a donation, but we don't have the background and the detail of the background of the amounts that are in the accounts.
That's a good point.
And, I think that there's a better way to serve the purpose of experience in the arts than just building up this 6-figure, 7-figure balance that wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I understand with COVID, that stuff didn't get spent. I get that, but now we can have people in our buildings, so we should be drawing that down a lot. I understand what she's saying about keeping it, and I didn't think only a small amount of money was used each year, because the list Chris would give us was huge.
Yeah.
And so it was not cheap stuff. It was like busing kids out to go do this and bringing this artist in here. So it wasn't cheap, but I would love to see this spent down. And I think expanding it to K through 8, and I had not thought about PTAs, but PTAs should not have to fund for art, additional art stuff.
I mean, think about the Dance Institute that's been at CES and is going to EVS, right? So, I mean,
okay, so I think that's great. I'm glad we got an update on that. So I think we should continue to stay on top of that. And I like the idea here about a committee and determining what gets where and spending it down and stuff.
So I can tell you, I don't have the exact numbers. Rob's looking at the budget itself, but I can tell you that somewhere we have a sheet. If I had known, I would have brought it today, but we can find it. a history of what gets spent.
Okay.
And you're looking at $50,000-$60,000 a year that's previously been spent,
Yeah.
but that was under the direction of Chris Morse.
Yeah.
And I will safely say that Bernadette has not been robust in spending these funds.
Yeah.
We have typically, when Chris Morse used this, he used it for the betterment of this district.
Mhm.
And he really did an outstanding job with that. That has not happened. COVID did slow us down. And Bernadette has not spent the money like we should have this year. That has been an issue for us at the SAU office, and we've taken tighter control of that. I expect that even next year, Experience in the Arts will no longer be a position, the advisor, if you will, position will no longer be a position here at the high school. It will simply be something that we take over at the SAU office. And that way we can ensure that it is also spread equally across the district, not just at the high school level, because I think you are seeing a lot of high school projects, and you're not necessarily seeing it spread to the elementary schools or the middle school even. I know they are invited to some things, but not always all. And I know that as a principal at an elementary school, I had to find my own money when Experiencing the Arts paid for experiences that were here.
Mhm.
So I do want to make sure that it's more equitable across the district. So we do plan on taking this over at the SAU level, not just letting it sort of continue to happen as it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
That does make a lot of sense. And then you can coordinate something to bring like both elementary schools together in one thing here at the auditorium, or something like that, you know?
Absolutely.
So that would be a great use of it.
Send them to things at the hop.
Absolutely, or
Yeah.
we just buy tickets for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
both
Yes.
schools are equitable and they all get
Yeah.
to go see the same thing.
I will also say Plymouth State also has a Silver Center, and that has a lot of concerts and plays and stuff too, so we should definitely look at connecting with them more. Yeah, more K through 8, because that's how you get kids interested in the arts, so
Yeah.
that way then they get here to the high school, they want to do more of it, so. Awesome. Anything else from EIC, or anything else on that? All right, thank you. Up next, Wellness Committee. Give an update for that.
Sure. So you've got the minutes in your packet from the March 29th meeting. We did have a student representative, which was great.
Awesome.
So there was some talk about, it was talk about food stuff. You can see it in there. We got a food pantry update. It sounds like, and we talked a bit about the distribution of April break boxes, which I'm assuming happened because I saw messages go out about how you could request them. So I think that worked okay. I guess we'll find out. We talked a little bit more in the food service update about some of the outstanding balances. And unfortunately, there has not been much of a change in the free and reduced lunch applications, which is kind of a pain. But I think that there are efforts in place to start sending more, being more consistent and frequent to send notices to families that have negative balances and letting them know their options. And we did talk briefly about is there an opportunity to shut off purchasing a la carte items for folks that have negative balances, so that students that have negative balances for their actual lunch, because our policy states that you can receive a lunch, the lunch of the day, but it does not state that you can receive a la carte items, and if they have money for a la carte items, why are we paying for
You
their
mean like they
lunch?
bring in cash for a la carte?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, because they already shut off the a la
Not
carte.
anymore.
Not anymore, they're not allowed to.
Now they're shut off for cash. They cannot charge, that's always been the policy,
Right,
a la
that's what I
carte. But we've also, I just said, enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've also heard students are harassing other students for cash. So I've just shut off. If you have a negative lunch balance, you do not get to purchase a la carte items with cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which
good.
makes sense.
Good.
There hasn't been much of an update with composting, so that is going to be a conversation with Science Club and some additional local resources. And then we talked about YRBS and also Wellness Fair that is coming up at the high school, and some of the different activities that will be part of that, as well as, again, some of our, remember, wellness is one of those committees that has community resources that also participate, so we do have some items in there for some of the local community resources. So next meeting, I thought we had a date, but maybe not. So TBD for now, because I don't have that with me. But.
Yeah, I thought we had a date too.
Yeah.
I'll double check on
Okay.
that.
So that will be updated.
And what is the last line, TBT groups?
That is
5 or 6 TBT at the high school and 7 at A River.
Yep. That makes it's an acronym for
I know that she had the Y,
Getting to why?
getting to
I
Y.
think this is different. Or was it?
right. It is different.
Does that have anything to do with like medical support groups?
No,
Something,
no,
something
because
based
this,
therapy.
Oh.
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay,
All right, we'll figure that
I'll
out.
just flag that.
Flag that for next time.
Flag that, and we'll try to.
I was just curious what it
work
was.
on it. Caroline is. Caroline Christie.
Yeah.
So we can try to follow up with her.
Yep, yep.
This is the thing with acronyms.
Yeah, totally.
Contextually, they make a lot of sense, but then you read it a couple of months later, you're like, it's a head scratcher. Can't tell you.
Well, I'm glad you got a student on there. That's great.
I don't know if that would be a regular thing or if that was a one-timer, but it was nice to have some input.
Love to have her. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Oh, it should be DBT.
Oh, yeah, I know what DBT therapy is.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I know what that is.
Practical
Yeah.
behavior therapy.
Yeah.
There it is.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I got two I'm gonna bring up.
Go for it.
All right, the balance on the food pantry update, that goes through, food service update, that went through finance facility too, so we knew about that, so it's double things here. But biggest thing is student reps about the vending machines and stuff. Previous business administrator, business manager, I don't want to throw her under the bus, but I will. She's the one who wanted the vending machines out of the cafeteria. So they should go back in there, and as long as they put in the right type of vending machines for drinks and stuff, that would be great. But she didn't want them in there. She had them pulled out of there last time. And I hope I am correct on that, because I've been here long enough. I think that's what she wanted out. She wanted them out of there.
Well, I don't remember exactly why
Well,
they
they
came
were
up,
out
but I
there.
knew it couldn't compete with the cafeteria. And
It
so-
wasn't kind of a competition. It was just a matter of.
Yeah, they can only be open when the cafeteria is not open. So.
Right, and that's what they can do, and they can put them back in there, I would think, not a problem.
But yeah, wellness policy guidelines need to be followed. So
That's all, yeah.
water, seltzer,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're losing me. Why do we need vending machines in there?
So
Am I
students have been
am I
asking
losing
for
you?
Yeah, I don't understand why we need to put them back.
Well, Kathleen, when they could get vitamin water drinks or water or bottled water, or I mean, even after school with the sports teams would come in there, they can get stuff out of that machine.
Okay.
Not counting just when the cafeteria is closed. There wasn't a problem about, nobody was breaking into them, nobody was taking, there wasn't any money, it wasn't any
No, I
problem.
just need positive, I want to know the pros.
The pros are,
The sports teams make sense.
sports teams
Yeah.
there, and the cafeteria being closed
After
at
school
the
stuff.
tail end, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
after school it would be fine. I mean, I don't know about the other part, because we never really had any like vending machines with any food or any of that other stuff. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing is sports drinks,
Yeah,
stuff like that. That
Yeah.
would be,
that's what I need to know.
okay,
No, I think we put the right stuff in there. Kids will buy it. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll be good.
okay?
Okay.
And
Alright.
some
Yeah.
schools end up having a school store or something, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where they do the
Right.
granola bars or
Yeah.
cracker packets and
Yeah.
things like that. And
Well, they had the food pantry, well, never mind. They had the stuff outside
yeah,
in the hallway for the kids later on
Yeah.
and get stuff
yeah.
Yeah.
that come down to the other end.
And the vending machine was really just, that was a request from students.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily an action item.
I think it's, well,
And we do have policy EFE that does
Yeah.
talk about vending machines.
Yeah.
So as long as you're correcting with the non-competing against meals,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're pretty accessible.
yeah, that's what we.
Makes sense.
I would like to see it go back.
Makes sense. And I agree that, you know, with what you guys said at the meeting about food negative balances, I'm glad they're stopped turning off a la carte, period. But there's gonna be like, here, you buy me this instead, I know, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, do we have families come in for a conversation? Do you have?
Yes, I have
Yeah.
asked, especially at the high school, there's some very large
Yeah.
balances for some families. So I have asked Tina, and I've been cooperating with the social worker and said, please come in. Please meet with these parents. It's time
Yeah.
for face-to-face meetings, because I have a feeling that parents aren't reading emails, so some of them just don't fully understand that they could be $1,000 in just one family alone.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
well,
and
good
if
for
they
you.
were free, you know, if they were eligible for free and reduced, we want to get them in there. And if we don't want them to have a high balance, but
Yeah.
if they can afford it, then they should.
The IRS one is, when they got brought up in our finance facility.
Yeah, yeah.
And I talked to Tina, and I talked with Kevin, they do work on that. They are working on that. They're taking, the
Good.
balances are going down, they know which people to come in and talk to, they know which ones are needy, they know
Right.
about the ones that they need to help get applications filled out.
Yeah.
Because some of them probably don't, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Totally. Well, this just says it went up. It's gone up since February 1st, which is the opposite direction of what we want. So, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to nip that in the bud.
I know Lebanon was struggling the same way,
Same.
so they instituted a $30 rule,
Oh,
that at $30 it's capped, and at that point on until it is paid down, the student receives an alternative meal that costs far less to produce and is not an entree.
that might be what we go down
So,
to.
making it less and less appealing
Yeah.
to not pay off your
It's not
balance.
prison loaf, but it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be what we have to do if you have several $100s of lunch debt that you just don't want to pay.
but you also got to take into consideration, you got to do it by case basis. And you also got, I mean, the kids, I don't think you got that much of a problem in the smaller kids. It's the bigger
No,
kids.
it's-
But
yeah.
what I'm getting at is, a kid that's hungry, needs something to eat, probably doesn't do as well in school.
Yeah. No,
All
we
right,
want
so
kids to
I
eat.
mean,
Yeah.
you need to work on that. I mean, that's why I think the administration, people and the staff know which ones to deal with. If I was a kid going to school here, I'd give them my lunch stuff over to some of them, they needed something. I mean,
Yeah.
you want them to succeed here.
Yeah, that's why we have not turned off lunch. We have not turned off any,
Well,
we've
no,
not denied any
I'm just
food.
making that point.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I always, if you don't make that point out, you just look at it like, no, we're just being hard-nosed about it, and we're not.
Yeah, it starts adding up. All right, anything else on wellness? Okay, up next we have superintendent's report.
You do have my written report in your packet. We are moving forward with the new Renew America Schools grant. I believe I spoke somewhere about the fact that we were discouraged from applying after our concept paper. Our concept paper asked for $2.2 million. So, 2.2 out of 80 million total is kind of a lot. So we did, I have Corrado working with Harrison, who will be writing the grant for us, to really focus on the Indian River School. We could focus our ESSER funds, ESSER 3, as you heard this evening, on the ventilation and HVAC systems for CES and EVS. But we do need to make some serious upgrades and improvements to IRS. So we're hoping that this grant would come through. We would be looking at, a solar project at IRS or upgrading the current one. And there's a few other things, looking at some of, the HVAC systems over there and how we could best repair that one and improve it. So that's where our focus will go, and we will turn that in, and we will hope that $500,000 is better received than 2.2.
Yes.
So we'll see. I talk a little bit about the strategic plan, work committee, and we're really making some good progress, I feel, on that in reviewing our current goals and strategies, and either saying they're accomplished or saying we no longer need that, after the pandemic, or saying here's how we can revise it, or in some cases saying, hey, this is what we need now. Here's a strategy that we could implement that would help us. So we do have that. And it is field trip season. As you'll see, Tina will be asking for another field trip this evening. So we have hit field trip season. It's really nice to see our kids getting out. Oh, and Chris Bisa will be giving you another field trip pitch this evening. And it's nice to see our kids get out. Tim, I think you are headed with the music group to DC.
Yes, we are.
I will tell you that it was a phenomenal experience as a parent. My son had a great time. Danielle,
Yes.
how did Zach do? He
Yeah.
loved DC.
Yes,
Yeah, my
I
kids
also
too.
enjoyed it. It was very busy. They did
Yeah.
a lot of walking, even though they had a bus. It
Yep.
was they got dropped off and then they walked a lot,
Yep,
which was great.
it was good. My kid is
It's
now
awesome,
kind of
yeah.
has the travel bug back again,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah.
sort of lost it after during the pandemic. But
They wore those kids out.
yeah,
They had like
they were
25,000
long
steps a day.
good.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
they got back. I said, "What'd you do when you got back to your room?" Took a shower and went to sleep.
Yeah.
They stay in the same place, they stay at the,
I have no idea where they stayed.
where'd you
They stayed
stay?
at the Spring Hill Suites in Virginia. I forget which town in Virginia, but I could look it up on my phone.
They
if
go
I
to
had
the,
to.
they go to the, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they
They
did
did.
Arlington and
Yep.
all that.
In
Yeah.
Arlington?
Yep.
Yeah,
And we're going to Arlington too
That's big.
with band.
Nice.
Yep.
So great experience for our kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to keep that going.
Yes.
I think it's important that we offer to the kids of Mascoma an opportunity to go to DC.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Many schools do that in 8th grade. We do not. We no
Yeah.
longer do. But I think it was just as good as a high school trip.
Yeah, I think I agree. You know, I've had kids that have done the 8th grade one, and I've had kids now that have done this one. And I also think that opening it up to sophomores, like
Yes.
sophomores,
Yeah.
just because kids are busy and that's a busy time of year. So committing to it, you know, essentially a year ahead of time in order to get fundraising or to payments and things like that done. Was good, but I think they were able to, you can push the high schoolers a little bit more and
Yeah.
expect a little bit more of them as far as their, behaviors. I'd love to hear Tina's thought on this as one of the chaperones there, but the idea of being able to just absorb all of that sort of stuff, I think is probably more so at the high school level than at.
Yeah, so Danielle, I can definitely attest to that. You know, Arlington is a powerful place. And I think our kids are old enough. We had seniors to freshmen on that trip. The Holocaust Museum, it's intense. And I think, you know, even some of our kids didn't absorb it, I think. I actually had a student ask me, I'm not even going to give names, but I did, like, what is the Holocaust as we were walking in? Which, yeah, we had a whole history lesson as we were going in. But there's some powerful things that they were able to take serious. We were literally putting up 22,000 steps. We would hit 8 places in a day. It was absolutely incredible and overwhelming. And I would get home, you know, back to the hotel the other day and like looked at all the places. It was incredible. So I do think that the high schoolers are, you know, such a great group to target for this, because I had so much fun. But it was a dream trip. I'm telling you, going up the Washington Monument, holy cow! Like in that elevator, it was a great trip. The kids were awesome.
Well, they didn't get to go to a ball game, right?
No.
No ball game, you didn't get to go to the White House. That was the one,
Yeah, we stood outside the White House. We took a picture.
well, yeah, I know, we did too, but I mean, what I meant is, okay. Yeah.
They did go on a
it was
ghost
cool.
tour.
Yes, they did go on the Arlington Ghost Tour. That's right.
Oh, that was amazing. It was cool.
Cool. All right.
The final thing I do have that's not written in my report is that you may have seen on WMUR that the Conval lawsuit for adequate education did start yesterday. Rob did attend the first day of the trial. Dr. Kimberly Rizzo-Saunders testified yesterday. She is the superintendent for the Conval district. So she was there. It is 2 weeks full of testimony on the side of the Conval plaintiffs, I guess. I don't know what you call it, maybe not. And then they take a week off, and then the state has a chance to respond the first week in May. I am slated to testify on April 21st, so I will be headed to Brentwood that day. After that, I believe Rob has been called potentially as to testify the first week in May, so we'll see how that goes for him. He may get called, he may not. I was hoping to avoid having to testify, but that did not happen.
We'll bail you out, don't worry.
You never know what I'm gonna say.
Contempt of court, probably, but.
Yeah, you never know what I'm gonna say, or to lawyers especially. So, that's where we are in that. So,
Once you get the
we'll keep
legal
it up
fund,
on
get her out.
WMUR, see if it's, if they broadcast any more of it. But they gave a brief piece of it yesterday.
Cool.
So, that's all I do have.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right. Anything else from member? Okay, business administrators reports. Rob.
Good evening, you have my report in the packet. It's DRA season, since after the vote, we're uploading the results of the voting, the warrant articles. The MS-22 is ready to be signed and approved in your packet as well. And that should conclude a lot of the DRA responsibilities for post-town meeting day. The financials, looking back at what I wrote, it sounded a little alarmed, and maybe I was. I don't believe we're going to need a special ed facilities transfer, capital reserve transfer, if things stay the way they are right now. I just saw the bottom number on the SPED budget reports, and it's much lower than it was last year. So, and I think along the way, probably the past couple of meetings, somebody's asked, are we going to need a special ed capital reserve transfer? And I think, we mentioned it and we keep it as an option. I don't think it'll be necessary at this point, but we'll keep an eye on that closely as we get to the end of the year.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are other things it's on the agenda, we'll talk about the audit, the draft audit approval as well. When we get to that.
Cool. All right. Any questions for Rob?
So you got the MS-22 to pass around so we can sign it.
Yep.
Is that this here?
Yeah, no.
No.
he's
Okay.
got
Got it. Oh, you have it over there.
It's
All right.
Ours is just for our purpose to look at.
Okay. I need a pen.
I'm used to signing these things.
All right. So next we have on here new business, quorum requirements. Included your packet was an email I went back and forth with Will Phillips at NHSBA, talking about what are the requirements for a quorum. You can see his response here. Basically, there's a three-pronged test of whether communications among a member of a public body, such as us, constitutes a meeting. Quorum, whenever we're able to communicate contemporaneously and for the purpose of discussing or acting upon something over which the public body has supervision, like jurisdictional matters. He gets quite into legalese here, but it should just be really, there's how we can put in the notice talking about how there's a possibility that, non-committee board members will be there, but they will be limited to the same manner as other members of the public. So we're up front, we say, this is how we can do it. So that is alternates, those are approaches to this. Of course, the obvious one is to not give the appearance of a quorum being broken, but that is just some information for us. So, any questions on that or discussion?
So what I take from this is exactly what I've been saying all along, is you got three people
Yep.
on the board.
Yep.
All right, we're there to take care of whatever subcommittee, but if a fourth person shows up that is not on our committee, but is a board member, that looks like, from the public standpoint, it looks like we got a quorum for a board member.
Right.
So we really shouldn't have a fourth person there.
Right.
And
But-
that's how I've been doing this for all along, for
Yeah.
the longest time.
That's true.
And that's
then-
how I read this whole thing with up and down.
Yeah, that's the easiest way around it. However, I do like this little alternative note that he puts in there. Members of the school board who are not members of this committee may also be in attendance, such as a quorum may be incidentally be present, and it just spells out specifically, you're being upfront with everybody saying, this is a public meeting, there is a chance that, school board members may be there who are not on this committee, but you're being very upfront about it. That's all. So, I think if you just throw that into our postings, I think that would
I'm
cover
just
it.
trying to make sure that it's not perceived, because
Right.
the public can perceive it as us doing business, which we're not doing business as a board,
Right.
Right.
okay?
I think that's a good
That's
thing
how
to
I've been
put at the
trying.
bottom of all of our postings for subcommittee meetings.
Yeah.
That's
on
what
the,
I
on the
would.
agendas.
On the agendas, yeah. Oh, yeah, on the agendas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, this says the notice for the meeting. This says
Oh, because
notice.
there's a,
Or
is there
whatever.
a meeting warn that's posted in public places, and then the agenda is like the second page of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we put that on the posting, that should be fine. Or on both, whatever, just put them on, we put on both and we're definitely covered. So, all right, anything else on that?
For
Yeah.
all committees.
For all committees, yeah, for all subcommittees of the board, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So it's probably,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And also, I mean, the wording of this note also reminds people that that committees are advisory in nature. Or like it's just like a learning opportunity. Not everyone knows what goes on, or that how much work goes on at the committee level, just to help inform the board to make decisions in a timely manner, sort of thing. So I think it's good to have that little note on there.
It's never really come up much.
No,
It
no.
really never come up much.
No.
I mean, just, Amanda wanted a clarification, and I've been adamant about not having 4 of us at any subcommittee meeting, because that way is not construed to being a
yeah,
board meeting or partial of a board meeting.
yeah,
So I said, we don't sit together. I mean, we
Yeah.
just don't.
yeah. All right. Okay, next thing we have on our agenda, teacher appreciation.
I will give it to them.
Yeah, we will.
What do you guys want? for
What did you
teacher
have for
appreciation?
that?
What do you want?
I don't really have anything this year. Sometimes we do the pins or something really kitschy that's cute.
Mm-hmm.
We often do some candy or, something like that for them, just to send a little something. But they're sort of pinned out, as they had told me. They're done with the
It's fine.
pins.
Well, don't we feed them?
We do, and I think, so there's so much food that goes through the buildings from the PTAs and
Yeah.
stuff this
Oh.
week,
Yeah.
that I think maybe if we used a lunch at a different time, to just say to them, thank you, here's this
Yeah.
lunch.
I mean, there are a couple more PD days
Yeah.
coming up.
I mean, the March PD day was really a day that
Yeah.
we should have done lunch, so I think
Yeah.
maybe next year,
Yeah.
we'll
okay.
think about that way, their teacher appreciation lunch on the full day of PD. I think that would be a great way to go.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? Everybody's appreciating teachers on that week. There's a ton of food, there's
Yeah.
just a ton everywhere. So doing it, sort of spreading it out a little bit better, a little bit more, I think would be more appreciated.
Yeah, there's nothing saying we can't continue it for several,
Yeah.
do it.
Do it at the tail end of this year when you guys are getting stressed out and getting ready to get rid of the kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So you'll bring that back if you do have something later.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, next on there is 23-24 school board meeting calendars up for our approval. Let's go with that. Where is it?
You can see that we have a meeting on December 26th.
Nope.
We can go ahead, I mean, typically we've left it there, but I think, where it's just so close to the holiday, we could potentially just remove it. And
Yeah.
I'll make sure that the meetings
Yeah.
around it are just a little more robust.
Yeah.
Yes, remove.
Yeah.
Remove.
I was expecting a present then, that's what I expected.
Because the Tuesday, when is Thanksgiving? Is Thanksgiving on the 30th or is it on?
It's on a Thursday always.
I
like
I do know.
too. Huh?
That I do know.
Okay.
But is it on the 30th or is it on the 23rd? That's what I gotta look.
23rd.
Is it the 23rd?
This can't be as complicated as the bus route, so we ought to be able to get this done
Yeah, right.
pretty quick.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, it's on the 23rd. Okay. All right.
And then the April one, is that highlighted because it's during vacation?
It is during vacation. Vacation will be incredibly early again next year.
Mm.
It's just the best we can do to coordinate with Hartford.
Mhm.
So it is over vacation again. We may have to tentatively move that. I would suggest leaving it for now.
Yeah.
And then we'll look and see how many, people may potentially not be able to attend.
Okay. Yeah, that works. All right.
Looking at the calendar for next year, the 28th of November would be the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay, good. Excellent. And we've already locked in deliberative session. We already made a motion to approve that at a previous meeting, so that's good. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve this calendar then.
Make a motion that we approve the 23-24 school board and budget committee meeting schedule with the date of December 26th removed.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, Candace with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. That's all set. All right, coming up next, we have Galapagos Island field trip and fundraising. Is that what Tina's here for? Is that what Tina's here for?
No,
No.
Chris is here.
Oh, Chris is here for that. Wonderful. Hello.
How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Tina sit home, the rest of them all sit home.
Well, I didn't know. She was here to discuss.
You wait till I come into your office again when you get back from school.
I will not be surprised if you're there.
I will be. I no promises, I'll be at the definite.
Okay.
Who's going on this trip?
Guessing it was Visa here.
Sign up to be volunteer.
Yes, do you need chaperones?
I don't want to see the turtle. I don't want to see the turtle. You've seen the turtle. See the turtle. I like this outfit. I can get up and move around. The other one's so strict.
Okay, so we ran this trip back in 2019.
Yep.
And I still, we were gonna run it again, and we got approval for it in January or February of 2020. And then we know what happened in March, and we got shut down. And then, so we're back again for another attempt at this. But the interesting thing about this is, I still walk the halls every time I go to the high school. I still will get a kid every now and again will sort of, hey, are you guy? Did you go to the Galapagos trip the last time? Are we going? Are they going to run that trip again? So it's taken this long to sort of get back, but I think we're ready to go. Tina and Amanda have, it is so important to get the kids out, and the learning that happens outside of the classroom when you go on these trips, you cannot replicate that in the classroom. You just can't. So we're back, and Tina, myself, Lindsay Coolidge, who is the Spanish teacher, have already been meeting. We've met several times. We've gotten a couple of different quotes from different people about what the itinerary would be, the cost, all of those things. And I think that we have come to a place where we have an outstanding itinerary. The prices have gone up since 2020, ever since 2019. So I think the sweet spot for us is we're looking to bring about 19 students. So that would be ideal, 19 students, and then we're looking to bring 6 staff with us. One of those staff being a nurse. We brought a nurse on the last one, and it was, I wouldn't go again without a nurse. It is needed. So 3 of us are actually here tonight for proposed staff that would go. Tina being one of them, Craig Suddy being another one, myself, Lindsay Coolidge, who is the Spanish teacher. We would bring a nurse, and then we still would have 1 slot open to be determined, see how that sort of shakes out. So, what's that?
A board member. And I used to be
Unless you have one that doubles
wait
as
a
a
minute, I
nurse.
used to be an EMT, so I'm still an EMT, so I could not qualify as a nurse, but I'm.
We could put a hat on you, Brewster.
No, you wouldn't. See, I'm the first one that spoke up about being a board member go, so I mean, that's.
So this is an 11-day trip. This would happen April 4th to the 14th of 2024. Again, we'd have 6 staff people going, including a nurse, about 19 kids, and those numbers could shift up a little bit or shift down, depending on how things shake out. When we first met, Tina, myself, and Lindsay, we looked at who would be the pool of kids to go. When we ran the trip in 2019, it was rising juniors and seniors who were Spanish 3 and 4. And so I think that that's our first tier again, is to give those kids the first opportunity if they want to attend, and they're in good standing, they're good kids, they're good students, they would have the ability to go. And then I think we would be looking at a second tier where we would open it to sophomores, rising sophomores who would either be in Spanish 1 or Spanish 2. So it really depends on what the pool of interest is. So I had Lindsay Coolidge, I had her do a poll of all of the kids who are taking Spanish now, and all of them, it was overwhelming. There was at least 25 or 30 between all of the classes who were really interested in doing this. There's no way around this. This is a very expensive trip. There's no way around it. It is a very remote part of the world. It is, having gone in 2019, I can tell you it is just a wild place. It is, and I mean that in the sense where animals have all of the rights there. They don't, in a lot of ways, have that fear of man. So you could be sitting on a park bench, and the next thing you know, you have a seal or a sea lion just come up and sit right next to you. So it's or a penguin or whatever. It's that kind of a place. So this itinerary includes 3 islands. It includes a day and a half in Quito. So we would fly into Quito, spend some time in Quito, which is the capital in Ecuador. It would really be a language immersion. The core of this program is about service learning. So the kids are going to have a lot of fun. They're going to work really hard. They're going to work hard while they're down there. They're going to work hard to even get there. The fundraising, they're going to work hard to fundraise. There will be a lot of, it's an intense program, but the core of this is service learning. Once we sort of identify who those kids are, Tina, myself, and Lindsay will go back to the table and drill into what do we really want that service learning component to be. Right now it's slated as working on doing reforestation. So the kids would go out and help with eradicate invasive species, so the native tortoises can have migration paths that they can access. So the kids will be working really, really hard out there, and they'll be having fun, and they'll be doing a lot of walking, and it's just a really, really intense trip. What else can I tell you? 3 islands. Any questions?
I'm glad this is being framed as service learning. I think last time it was framed as a science trip.
Spanish.
Or Spanish trip.
Spanish. That's why you had so many
Yes.
Spanish kids, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even if it's language immersion, I mean, I think when the kids came to present afterwards,
Yeah.
it sounded like there wasn't necessarily a lot of Spanish.
Yeah.
So like there was some when they were at markets or between groups, but
Yeah.
it sounded like when we asked them questions, they spent time together and didn't necessarily
They
do
did,
it.
but it was about practicing
Yeah.
while they were there. So they would go into a market and they would practice Spanish. They would practice, what that transaction of whatever they were purchasing was. Or if they go to a restaurant, they would practice that. So if they go into a chocolate store or where, so they were really good about it. So they tried, but. And then the service learning component, that's really important for all of us
Yeah.
in this. And I can tell you, one student in particular on the last trip, don't underestimate the life change, that these trips can be life-changing for people.
Yes.
They can put them on a trajectory that can ultimately change their life. And I had one kid the last trip who said, at the end, sweat, because of all the hard work that he did, said, one day I will come back with my own kids so I can show them the work that I did here.
Yeah.
And that's when you know that it really hits for kids. So we're back again. We're going to take another crack at it, and we need your approval to sort of move forward with the trip. And I can just tell you, the draft of the fundraising activities that we put together. I'm going to sort of do logistics, and I'll interface with the people in Keto, and I'll interface with the company and sort of do all of that stuff. Lindsay Coolidge is really going to be heading up fundraising. Tina, she's going to need a lot of Tina's help to sort of help shepherd her through that, because we've come up with a draft of some possible fundraising opportunities. But we're also very mindful as we don't want to step on anybody else's toes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see some overlap here, timing-wise.
Exactly. Exactly. So that still needs to get flushed out a little bit. So,
Chris, would you talk about overall price, please?
yeah, the overall price, as you go, that would be on page, third page in. Yep, third page in, you have, depending on how many you have going, you have it tiered between 32 to 34. And the only thing that's not included in this is the airfare from Boston down to Keto. And that was the same thing as the last trip as well. So when you compare costs to this compared to the last time, it's gone up a few $100s. Although the airfares for whatever have remained pretty common, pretty stable. So airfares down to Keto from Boston run anywhere from $500-600 up to $900. So
Round trip?
Round trip.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Cheap.
So too early to sort of gauge where where those will come in at this point. But Delta seems to be the most convenient in and out of there. So we'll be fundraising. We'll be working hard to fundraise, and we've been really upfront with kids that we'll do our best to fundraise, but we may not, really depends on what we get. So kids have to be prepared that, they may end up having to, fork in, a bunch of money for this as well, depending on how much we get from fundraising as well.
Yeah.
But minimally, we need, we'll need 16 or 17 kids to go.
Okay.
What's the total estimate for the accommodations for lodging?
What's that?
The total estimate that you have down for lodging?
Yeah, it's all built into, everything is built in. Lodging is built in, meals are all built into the pricing on page 3.
Okay.
Lodging is all built in.
In the past, I know we've had a question from the board come up. Is there a way that there could be a host family that could take not the entire trip, but part of the trip, so the students get to stay with host families and really get immersed into the culture?
That I don't know.
Okay.
The last time we've only run this trip once, and it was to, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that they miss something if they're spending 10 days there and they do not interact with a host family with students their age. At least, 1 or 2 nights. But I see every night is at a hotel.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions for Chris?
I want to go.
Bruce wants
I
to
want to go. Tim get to go to Washington, D.C.
I'm paying to go to Washington,
It
D.C.
doesn't matter. I mean, he's got a whole year to go. For this, I haven't gone anywhere for like 6 years, so.
The chaperones also have to pay their way, is that
It's
correct?
not about you, I'm
Have to
not.
pay the way.
Yes.
I went
That's what
to
I'm
Washington
getting
DC, I took care of the kids.
Go to a travel agency and take care of your dream vacation.
There you
No,
go.
this ain't a dream vacation,
There you
it's
go.
a work vacation.
All right. But yeah, so
You guys don't
like
like
you were
it,
saying,
too
you
bad.
gotta fine tune the fundraising once you cross-check with other
We have to
groups and all
cross-check,
that.
yeah, exactly. This is
Yeah.
just like, that's why
Yeah.
I underlined draft.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
still have some things to
Yeah.
work out, but we need to get going. The other thing is they are temporarily holding stuff for us now. In terms of like lodging and all of that stuff, so
Yeah.
there's temporary holds on, and so we have a family meeting, so we'll go back and then we'll really get everybody's interest, and then we'll have a family meeting on April 27th at 6 o'clock, and then we will go through the itinerary with everybody, we'll go through the pricing, we'll go through all of that stuff, and then if whichever kids are going to go, we will need a deposit from them by the end of May of $500. They wanted $1,000. I talked them down to $500 just to get out of the gate,
All right.
and they were very willing to work with us on that. So the company will need $500 for each kid that's going by the end of May, and then we'll kind of be up and running.
And will there be other financial milestones that'll need to be met? You know, is it like with World Strides where you put an initial deposit down and then the parents are kind of on the hook and it really for
Yeah.
monthly payments?
We'll have to
Okay.
build that out.
All right, and then any fundraising helps to backfill or reimburse.
Backfill it. Yeah, we'll do the typical, what we did before. I went back and I looked at the notes from the last time. There was, Byrne helped us out the last time, Friends of Mascoma helped us out. I even think maybe Mascoma Bank even helped us out a little bit as well. So we're gonna sort of go for it here.
Yeah, I think it was the Mascoma Foundation, which is part of the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just cast wide nets and see who you can find, and fundraise early and often, right? So.
And we're already, we're in middle of May, so I feel like we're, the last time we did this, we were trying to get going in I think it was February, so we've missed out on March. So I know the kids are eager to get going, and they're eager to, get to the family meeting and all of that. And then we'll sort of have a better understanding of like how many and how much wider we needed to open up to other kids who in the building, fall into the separate tiers that we have. So we really want to have a good, robust group that goes.
Is there a biology class or like some sort of, is there marine biology or any type of class like that you could also add to the tiers? If they're like higher interest.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what I
you'll fill this class.
I'm sure we will,
I
yeah.
think just if you start to look at it, even though it isn't really a service trip, you are really going to, putting Spanish and service together, I think you will start to see. I think it's going to be important, though, that we remember that a lot of our freshmen did not get to take a language because they were locked into Mascoma 101
Yep.
and full year of health. So I think it should go age-wise, right, juniors, seniors, and certainly Spanish 3 and Spanish 4. Being the mother of a student who's very excited about this trip, my junior will only be in Spanish 2.
Yeah,
So
that
I
makes
think,
sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because as a freshman, he chose to do a woodworking class rather than take a Spanish class, and that's great.
Lots of
Like,
kids.
that's all, good for him.
This tier, and then this tier, and then we'll just keep opening up
Yeah.
until.
Yeah.
And then I think, if there are further spaces, we look at, the biology club or something like
By
that.
that time, we'll probably do it, but yeah. Okay, cool. Any further questions for Chris? All right, I'm assuming you're looking for a motion to approve your
You
efforts
want me
and
to make
such.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the idea and the ability to begin fundraising for Galapagos Islands 2024 trip.
Okay.
I'll second.
And Kathleen second. Any further discussion on that? All right.
Would that also include us going forward and starting to collect money?
Yeah.
And go, okay.
Yeah, that gives you permission to start fundraising, collecting money. Give us an update at some point in the fall, maybe.
Sure will, yeah.
Just let us know how you're doing and that sort of thing, and what we can do to help. So, any further discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Abstentions. All right. Go for it.
Appreciate it.
Cool, thank you.
While you're on field trips, we do have Tina. She is looking to take the environmental science students to the Farm and Forest Expo on May 5th.
Okay.
She's looking for approval of that.
All right. Where is it?
Yeah.
It's not on the
Tina?
It's not on the
It's
agenda.
not
Oh,
on the
it's,
agenda.
it's
you
at
probably need
Deerfield Fairgrounds.
We probably need to add it to
And
hold on,
I've
Tina,
already,
hold on for a minute.
we've already secured with them, like, you know, park the bus and things like that.
Talking over you.
Tina, hold-
Hello?
yeah, hold on
Time
for a minute, hold on. So we would need to add that to the agenda,
Yes, so-
if you would make a
All
motion
right,
for
what is
that.
it for, though?
It's for a field trip to the Farm and Forest Expo
Okay.
on May 5th.
Would anyone like to make a
Where's that
motion to
located?
put that to the agenda?
I make a motion that we add the field trip to the Farm and Forest
Expert.
Expo.
To the agenda.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, Daniel, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain. All right, now, next. So now we have it on the agenda. Now we are official.
And now you can.
Sorry. Go ahead, Tina. So it's the fourth.
So our environmental science club is, that environmental science class has been doing a lot of great things. As you saw, they boil sap, they collect, you know, they've just been doing some phenomenal things. And this is just another chance to gain some experiential learning outside the classroom and go down to the farm. If you've never been, it's awesome. And there's like a lot of hands-on activities, and it's on a Friday. So, you know, she can take down this class, and some of us will go as well, just so we can join. But it's just another opportunity for hands-on learning outside the classroom.
Cool.
Where is-
How many kids are in that class?
where is-
I think there's like 14, 15.
Okay.
And we do have a few other students that have really been instrumental in helping, you know, with different activities related to this, and that are going to be doing an ELO for next year. So they may join as well, so.
Cool. So it sounds like you need a bus then, right?
Yeah,
All
we
right.
already took care, we reserved it, once you're approved, we'll move forward.
Deerfield Fairgrounds. It's on the Deerfield
Do you
Fairgrounds.
have a question?
I just,
Oh, she got it.
she finally told me where they're going.
Oh, Deerfield, okay.
I had no clue where they were going.
Deerfield.
Yeah.
All right.
It could be Deerfield, New Hampshire. It's
Yes.
Deerfield, Massachusetts.
New
Right?
Hampshire. New Hampshire.
New
Is it
Hampshire.
New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I forgot there was one Massachusetts. All right. Any other questions for Tina on that? Cool. I'll entertain a motion then.
All right, make a motion that we approve the May 5th field trip for the environmental science class at the high school to go to the Farm and Forest Expo in Deerfield, New Hampshire.
All right.
I'll second.
Oh, both is seconded. Both.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a jinx. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving field trip signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? All right. That's all good. Have fun. Okay, so up next we have on there our audit, fiscal year 22 audit for approval. Packet, so entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the draft fiscal year 22 audit report as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. And so this is accepting their audit report. It is 92 pages, so I hope no one's starting to read it right now.
I have copies if you need them.
No.
And then also, I know there was a request by Finance Facilities and some board members to have the auditors come to a meeting to answer any questions and maybe address internal controls and, you know, expand on the audit process. So Jim Rovers will come on May 9th school board meeting.
Okay.
And you'll have a copy so you can ask any questions if you need to.
Okay.
So your approval this evening is not necessarily of the audit. The audit is the audit. It's an approval of the acceptance of the audit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're.
So you don't have to commit it all to memory
No.
right now.
It's just
Yeah.
saying, yes, we've
Yes,
received the audit.
we've
That's
received it.
correct.
Yes.
We accept that it is
An audit.
received.
It is what it is.
It is an audit and we have it. Yes.
It is something that someone cares
All right. Do we have a motion on the floor then?
about.
Not yet.
Yeah, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry. We're just in rapid fire.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor of accepting the audit as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions. All right.
You should hear those out loud.
So that would be, all right. So then we also have the MS-22, which we have to approve as well.
It's going around for signature.
Yes.
Yeah. Make a motion that we approve the 2023 MS-22 as presented.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor of approval of the MS-22 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? All right. There we go with that. Okay. Up next, let's see here. Driver's education tuition increase approval.
I don't need that.
What's that?
Driver education tuition increase approval. So you have in your packet a list of driver's education tuition rates, and with 38 students, how much that would bring in total. Our current rate is $625, and this was not reflected because it was just earlier. It was just late last week, so the minutes were not in your packet. But at Finance and Facilities, we did approve recommending going up by $25 next year to $650. And then we can take it on a year-by-year basis and see if we add $25 a year after that, and so on and so forth. So, we'll entertain a motion, if that is so.
Make a motion that we increase or approve the increase, suggested increase to the driver's education tuition to the rate of $650.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. Any discussion on this?
And will this begin immediately? Or
Well, we
No.
can make it whenever we want.
No,
You can make it whenever you want.
We can make it start effective July
the
1st.
summer ones?
we talked about, well,
What?
never mind. Never mind. I was gonna say, when we talked about it in Finance Facility, we didn't talk about doing it until
Next school year?
Till the next, coming up, next school year.
So the fall.
Okay.
The 23-24
Right.
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a new one in the summer, then
Yes.
do it for the summer one,
Yeah, I mean,
okay? But don't do anything now.
No, not in kids who are in it now.
oh no.
And so they've already got,
Just knowing that there are, I believe, if there's still 2 summer sessions, then if we wait until the fall, then we will continue to lose money at that same rate unless we start with the
Yeah.
summer ones.
Have people put down deposits yet or anything like that for the summer?
No,
No. So no money's changed hands, nothing's happened yet for the summer?
I don't think any information's gone out, and I should
Yeah.
know. 'cause-
I should know
we
too.
didn't
Okay, have you
discuss
seen
that.
anything too? Then I have not either, so nothing has gone out.
I'm just told that everything's full and don't even bother.
Yeah,
That's what I keep hearing from everybody.
Right.
yeah.
So, all right, yeah, no, we can make it effective July 1st, so coinciding with the fiscal year, because
Yeah.
the summer session will start after July 1st, right?
No,
Oh,
No,
no,
they start in June?
I mean, unless it's changed.
there's not a
Because-
whole lot of June left, but it could start in June.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just say, I would suggest starting it with the
Summer
summer
long.
sessions.
Summer sessions?
Summer session.
I would go with the summer sessions.
All right, you gonna
Yep.
amend your motion then?
Yes, I'll amend my
Okay.
motion.
To be
Well, I
coinciding.
didn't put a time
No.
on the motion,
All right.
so
Now you,
Yeah.
now I have
all right, is
added.
that good?
Yep. I think that's
Kathleen, is that good to
Do we
amend your
have
second?
to have the time on it, or is it just part of the discussion?
Oh, it's in the motion, so if we vote on it, then that would
Okay.
be the motion, that's all.
Yeah.
So- Okay. All right, any other discussion? I know there's, it is a good deal. I think it's still a good deal at $650. I think this is a very nominal increase. I think it's okay. If we were going up $100, that'd be a different story, I think. But I think $25 is okay to at least hold this. And I do want to make it affordable for people and so that kids can save up enough to pay for it, because this is still an attainable amount, so.
So we're dealing with a $16,000 loss, right?
Mhm.
Oh, wait.
But
Yeah.
that's like an annual figure?
Is that what we're losing annually, Rob, like 16,000?
Yes, about that.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Where'd you drop
just
off?
saying, the math doesn't work out, it's not gonna take care of the loss.
Yep.
It's just going to be a step forward trying to decrease the loss.
Mhm.
Right.
We're still gonna have to look at other means to support that program financially. And I still wanna advocate for putting in line item support on our annual budget.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I think we should be on a line item to at least like eat some of this cost a little bit.
Right.
It is an important thing. We do need to have kids actually learn how to drive.
Right, and we need to break even on the program. We shouldn't be going in the hole.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So I mean, if we're going to know that we're going to lose money, because it would, even at $900, is $34,000 enough to keep the program like self-sufficient, Rob?
No.
Yeah.
No, it is-
Yeah.
So you like face the
No.
reality of probably having to subsidize it somehow, regardless, because $900 is really not attainable. I mean, that's really expensive.
Right.
So,
Unless you add
But
another
I think-
instructor so that you can
yeah.
get through
We
more
We need to add
kids.
more kids.
Which
Yeah.
we have more, there is more demand than our
Yeah.
capacity
That is
currently.
Right. The demand supports adding another position.
Absolutely.
We're not financially there yet.
Right.
So, I mean, as a board, we have to prove to the voters that we are trying to support this important part of the student's education, which is driver ed. You know, if we were inner city schools, we wouldn't be dealing with this, but we live here and we need to teach kids how to drive.
That's right. And I'd like to have them taught in a classroom setting as opposed to
Yes.
the other settings that you can get when you later on.
Tim, speak up. I don't want you
Oh,
to
I'm just saying I'd rather have them learn in a classroom setting how to drive than just learn from, somebody on the back roads and not learn real rules and stuff.
Well,
So.
we went from only having one teacher to two now, because we had such a time before, we did have only one.
Yeah.
So now we have two. It was in the past. In the past, when we had one, so it made it really difficult.
For a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But only one still does the classroom portion, correct?
Yeah, and I've asked the high school to figure out how we can add more kids. I just don't think, we do technically have two people that are teaching driver's ed, and one of them is only doing the driving, which I understand is helpful, because that's a lot of kids and a lot of hours to do. But I've also asked them to, figure out how we could potentially add an entire class. If we could add more kids, it would be better. I mean,
Yeah.
even if, and we do, we can't meet the demand. So in my opinion, if we could even add more, add more people, I know it will be more time driving, et cetera. And we do have a backlog for the driving hours because of COVID, so that was expensive, so we are battling away from that. But I have asked the high school to look at expanding the program, to see what the capacity is for the second driver's ed teacher that we do employ.
Yeah. If there's a way to get more out of that, then that's great. But because I know there's also pent up demand around the entire area too. So if we opened it up, it wouldn't be just our students. I don't think there's a worry like, oh, we had another position, we're not going to have enough people to fill it. I think there's always going to be people who need a place to go, especially when you need it last minute. So, okay.
Yeah, because that trade-off is that ours is a lower fee, but it takes longer to do. There are other programs out there that are
Yeah.
$800, $900, $1,000, but you're done in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as a family, that's kind of what you have in front of you.
Did you have kids do this at our school? Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I looked, because there was such a backlog,
Yeah.
at, timing-wise with COVID, we looked and we were on wait lists.
Yeah.
We were 3 different wait lists, I think.
Yeah.
And we were ready to fork the money over until we got into that class.
Yeah.
And here,
so did a lottery.
Yeah, no.
There you go.
But I mean, I agree with you, Kathleen. I think we should budget it in there so that way we know what we're taking on. And I mean, this also asks them to put a little more skin in the game too. I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
reasonable. So
It's good. It's a good
Multiple
idea. I
options.
think Kathleen's idea is a good idea, but it's not gonna happen for the budget that's already been put in place.
not this year's budget.
No,
but
going forward, we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just going forward. It's gonna be
Okay.
a year out.
Any further discussion on this?
That's all.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt me.
All those in favor of approving increasing the driver's ed by $25 effective with the summer session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? All right. So up next we have policy. Yippee skippy, that's
looks
right.
like they're all.
They all second readings?
We're all second reading.
All right, so someone else make a motion.
Alright, make a motion that we approve for second reading, policy whatever.
You sure you're going to make it through all those letters?
I know. IHBAA, evaluation requirements for children with specific learning disabilities. Policy IHBA, programs for students with disabilities. Policy IHBAB, special education evaluations. Policy IHBAC, developmental delay as qualifying disability. Policy IHBAM, district special education policy and procedures manual. And policy IKFC, alternative diploma for students with significant cognitive disabilities.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, Kathleen seconds. All right, as these are all second readings, we saw these last time. Anyone have any comments, questions, concerns on any of them?
I don't think there were any major changes.
No, we didn't make, I don't think we made any changes to
No,
it.
there were no changes. You
No.
had me check with Chris Biso
Oh, yeah.
on a couple of issues, and he is happy as how they are.
Okay.
Good. All right, seeing no further comments, all those in favor of approve for second reading and adoption, all the policies listed signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions. All right.
That's what it should be.
Agenda items for next meetings, we'll have quarterly reports, committee reports, staff retirement celebration news, May PD newsletter. That is going to be the end of the April one. Was there something else? We're going to have Matt Button here? Or is that
We will
following?
have Chief Porter here.
Chief Porter, that's right.
You will
And-
also, no, when is Roberge coming?
The ninth.
The ninth.
Yep. Yep, so we will have that.
Okay.
Okay.
And so just so you know, Chief Porter is coming to introduce himself and say hi, because he's the new police chief in Canaan, and also just to kind of talk about how we can be better partners and talk about the intersection and what can we possibly do, and if there's something that can be done. So, yeah. Public comment, seeing as how there's no public
Wait,
here.
I got public.
Oh, you got public comment, okay.
Yeah, I've heard from a resident of Orange regarding the bus issues, and I asked for permission to share her messages that she's been sending me this past week. And what it is I can use her name. Her name is Karen McFarland. She lives in Orange. And she has a neighbor who has 2 daughters at the high school level. And she got in touch with me one morning because she offered to take the 2 teenagers to school. They found out at the last minute that the bus wasn't coming. They ride I believe it's M7 that's on the Grafton side of Millbrook Road. So they're right there at the border by L's farm, and it began out that Karen told me that she feels like the school board just throws its hands up in the air and says, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And the kids and parents have to fend for themselves, which seems ridiculous. And she also added that I encouraged her and Barbara Ellis to come to this meeting tonight, but we weren't able to contact Barbara. And I said to them, then I'll read your text messages here. And she said that she was frustrated. She talked with the bus driver who's also frustrated, and she said we, meaning the taxpayer, are paying for a chaperone on the bus who does absolutely nothing according to the children, and lets them swear and use racist words while the chaperone sits up front and ignores it. So it's not even helping the bus. The driver is just costing us more money, and the frustration level is just increasing with all of the contact. There was another part where she told me that the girls were told during the school day after lunch the buses home were canceled, giving parents 2 hours to hear from their kids to make other arrangements to bring those students home. So I know that the issue is the poor condition of the roads. I know that this week, everybody's hoping the roads will improve, but this has been going on for a long time. And we have to give it some more thought.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Any other public comment? Although now buses are reopened and should be running on all roads after break, right, Amanda?
That is correct.
That is
So
what
I don't
I'm
know when
understanding.
Kathleen received those emails, but if parents are having a hard time, they need to contact the school. I have spent an extreme amount of time and got a nice thank you from 2 parents, a 9-10, and Barbara Els herself thanked me, or thanked the school. So there's like.
What day was that?
That was Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. So I can only do what I can do. You know, I know people are frustrated. We will have a very open and very transparent bidding process this year. I think we'll do an open forum. Parents can come, they can complain. You know, they can say what they want. You know, I am concerned that if Butler's doesn't bid, we will have nobody bid on the bus contract here. So it's tough. I've been told by other bus companies that they will not bid on this district. That's a bus company in, based out of, that is First Student, I believe. They do Newfoundland and Lakes Region schools.
Yeah.
They can't guarantee us drivers. They don't want to take our contract when they know that there's a shortage of drivers in Mascoma.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty well-known thing. We have a shortage of drivers. They don't want to take on our contract and know that they won't be able to put drivers behind the wheels and leave us in this same situation. Looking at, Butler's just purchased another van for us at my request. Unfortunately, it will be full of special ed kids, which is good and bad, but I'm looking at some vans potentially because we can more easily find drivers and I can have employees drive, right?
Yeah.
If I have employees driving vans, which they could do, it's easier to get the van licensure than it is to have the school bus endorsement. But if I can have some employees drive vans, then they would not necessarily, you know, it's a win-win for them. They get to drive, pick up some kids and go to work, leave work, take some kids home,
Yep.
not all in their vehicle.
Yep.
So we are looking at a couple other things, but once again, if there are members of the public that are really upset, they need to contact the school. They don't get anywhere with the school, they contact me.
There you go.
It's not up for bid this year.
It's not
Next
that.
year.
It's not up for bid this year.
Next year.
Next year, I'm sorry.
You
next
said
year.
this year, right?
Yeah.
Well, this
no,
come,
it's-
yeah,
It's
next.
not-
The end of it.
She's already thinking about next school year.
it's
I'm already in next year.
Next year.
Next year.
All right, cool.
wanna clarify.
Let's see here. Personnel, so we do have personnel resignations and nominations. We have our green sheet here.
Yep, you do have a green sheet there. The other things will be addressed in non-public.
Okay.
You do have some retirements and you have some resignations. And you do have a handwritten one in there. Martha is on vacation. So Kamala is on vacation.
Yep.
So everyone was on vacation. So I did my best.
So is that person just stepping down as class
Anne Labrie is
advisor?
stepping down as the class advisor
Okay.
for the class of 2025. But we do want to be able to post and rehire. for
Somebody
that
else.
position.
Yeah.
So I'm asking non-public
Right.
on the resignation one, right? I
Sure.
can ask non-public?
Yeah,
I don't want to ask in public.
Well, I think Rob would be happy to tell
they're
you.
in public, but
What? No, you didn't listen to what
I
I'm
heard
saying.
what you said.
Okay?
Rob has, do you mind if I share, Rob?
No, go right ahead.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Sure. Yeah,
I'd like
this
to know
is,
why
he's
you're
happy to
leaving.
share.
Yeah, it's been a great experience, but it's a very long commute. It's like over an hour and 50 minutes each way. It's 75,000 miles a year. It's you know it's been a great experience, but I think it's taken a toll, and we're gonna move on.
okay. Oh, thank you.
That's all. I
Thank you for your
just-
testimony.
Yeah, thank you
I
for
just want to know
everything.
why you were going. I mean, it's always important to know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that gonna be at the end of the school year or?
Yes, the end of my contract is June
At
30th.
at the end of your contract? Okay, yeah, okay. Cool.
Where do you live?
Manchester.
Oh,
That is a haul,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
You
know,
know about
last
that.
2 years, I feel you.
Yeah. We appreciate everything you've done and given. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Do we want to vote on these then? Accepting these? Does someone else make a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the staff resignations and retirements with regret, as presented.
I'll second.
And Candace was second. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed and abstentions. All right. And we do have non-public for cybersecurity for B, C, and I, it looks like. So-
Yes, some hiring, some cybersecurity, and,
Oh, okay, thank you.
yes.
Oh, never mind, thank you. I'll bring this back. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public.
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Second?
Okay, Brewster,
Yep.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tim, yes, Danielle,
Yes.
Candace.
Yes.